When I say the words all-time top content creator, who do you immediately think of? I'm talking YouTubers, streamer, social media in general. I know you're probably picturing bro fists, play buttons, maybe curing blindness. Well, I guess you've read the title already. Born August 11th, 1967, in Newark, New Jersey. Born to an Irish woman and an Italian man, home life was not as it seemed. As Joe recalls,
my real father was crazy. He was like a psychotic person.
Really?
Yeah, he beat the fuck out of my mother.
Like he would be the type to come
he
home.
smacks women.
all I remember of my dad are these brief, violent flashes of domestic violence. But I don't want to complain about my childhood. Nothing ever really happened to me. I don't hate the guy. There's actually quite a bit of ongoing drama about this right now, as Joe Rogan's biological father and sister have come out to say that Joe is lying and defaming their name on his podcast.
Your father. If you lied about your father, what do you give up the world? I'm tired of it, Joe. I just had enough. If you can't talk to me face to face, you're a punk ass. That's all you are. You got all the money, everything, but you know what you don't have? You don't have no heart, and I'm going to tell you something else you don't have. You ain't got two balls.
And so now Joe Rogan's father is suing Joe. His parents divorced when he was 5, and he's never been in contact since. After him and his mother moved to San Francisco, he was 7. And when a young Joe was only 11 years old, they would move to Gainesville, Florida. But not long after, they would finally settle in Newton Upper Falls, Massachusetts. In Massachusetts. How do you say Massachusetts? Is that proper? How do you say it? Massachusetts? Massachusetts. Is that it? I'm so uneducated. He graduated from Newton South High School in 1985. During their time in California, a preteen Joe began karate lessons after a fight in school didn't go the way he hoped. And quickly after karate, he moved on to wrestling.
But I never did anything like wrestling.
Yeah.
In my first days of wrestling class, I remember thinking, what the fuck? You guys work this hard? We have to go upstairs. We have to carry someone on our back and climb up stadium stairs? Mm-hmm. What the fuck are you?
And this sparked the love for martial art. I heard this person say the other day that my generation will get to show our kids DVDs and CDs in the way that they showed their kids VHSs and vinyls. And I'll be honest, that stuck with me. I just can't help but think that our media really is entirely online now. My parents would show me old VHSs or talk about time when there were only a couple channels on cable TV to pick from. And as time goes on, as crazy as it sounds, we might just be moving away from traditional TV shows and movies altogether. At least not in the way that we might traditionally think of movies or TV. As the years go on, more and more people receive their entertainment, even their news, directly from their own alternative source on the internet. Everybody is a part of their own alt group now. Entertainment like JRE and Call Me Daddy signing several $million deals to Spotify. In a lot of ways, this rings a lot like a Seinfeld or a Chappelle show kind of, but in the modern era. In December of 2009, Joe Rogan and his friend Brian Redband started a free podcast. His first podcast getting mixed reviews from people. Apparently during the first 30 minutes of the podcast, Joe turned on a video setting that showed snowflakes falling down. And he thought it was cool because it was the night before Christmas, but apparently the viewers were not very happy and started tweeting it out. Later on, Joe turned off the setting. No one, not even Joe Rogan, knew just how big his show was going to become. At the time they started it, they didn't even call it a podcast. It was just a live show. But little did they know they were laying the roadmap for a new generation of content. All of this has happened so incredibly fast. You got to ask yourself, how did we get here? What made all of this media turn to the internet? In the early 1970s, Frank Nasworthy developed a skateboarding wheel made of entirely polythene, and he created a company called Cadillac Wheels. You see, prior to this, skateboard wheels were all pretty much metal or clay, and the release of these brand new wheels alone were enough to make the popularity of skateboarding skyrocket at the time. And this caused companies to invest more in developing more skate products. In 1975, skateboarding had risen back to popularity enough to have one of the biggest skateboarding competitions since the 60s. The Del Mar National Championships. It was a 2-day long competition with over 500 competitors. This period was fueled by skateboarders that ran skateboarding companies. During this time, numerous skaters as well as companies paid tribute to the scene in Back to the Future of Marty McFly skateboarding. I'm sure you know the iconic scene. Even Tony Hawk himself crediting it.
Like, Back to the Future is a hugely important movie for skateboarding, especially in the 80s. It influenced a whole generation of kids to start trying skating. You know, many of the older pros now started skating because of this movie. It influenced them to get their first board.
With the rise of vert in the 80s, skate competitions and skate parks became much more prevalent and popular. But by the time the early to mid 90s rolled around, street skating, and particularly freestyle skating, was making its rounds in the limelight. Freestyle boards becoming the standard skateboard in the 90s. By 2001, skateboarding had become so popular that more kids were choosing to skateboard than play baseball. With the increased availability of technology in general, but in particular in the skateboard community, many skaters now had the ability to record and edit themselves and friends doing tricks. This was a massive innovation for the skateboarding community and led to countless new styles and tricks, whether it be recording the videos or doing it on the board. While researching this video, I actually found an article written in 2013. The ease of access on the internet allows for numerous understandings and perspectives of skateboarding to be shared within our subculture. It allows individual skaters to share what exactly skateboarding means to them and what is important about it. It stops things from becoming stale or forced and allowed skateboarding to progress. An internet buzz will arise whenever someone or something relatively unknown or unexpected pops up that accurately or imaginatively portrays an aspect of skateboarding that we always knew but don't get to see enough. This notoriety forces bigger magazines and mainstream skateboarding sites to set up and take notice, broadcasting this video to even more people. Before the mass proliferation of the internet, most of us would never have been exposed to the eclectic genius of the Golden Egg video and Fancy Lad skateboards. Among others, a few years ago, these products would be confined to a small clique of local scenes, maybe an adventurous tourist. While we might currently have to sit through a couple of embarrassing videos here or there by theoretically giving every skateboarder a voice, the internet allows us to better illustrate all aspects of skating, from the jockish and extreme to the creative and inspiring, or the raw and just plain weird. I wouldn't say I'm trying to compare Joe Rogan and skateboarding because they're two different things. I would say that for sure, for certain. What I do want to state is just how big of an impact both the skateboarding community and Joe Rogan had on the reason you're watching this video right now, the reason you watch any internet videos. This whole video concept came to me because I saw this interview with Colin and Samir, two massive inspirations of mine.
Out of nowhere. But that era of skate videos was the first time I was like, whoa, you can make movies just with your friends and the camera you have. Like,
No one talks about how much skate culture influenced
what exists today.
Just like media.
And the guy that is interviewing them, I've seen him before, but I'm not sure what he's from, but I definitely have seen him before. In this same video, Colin and Samir talk about how early skateboarding culture is very much responsible for they started filming themselves and got into filmmaking in general. And they made this connection that maybe a lot of filmmakers came in from the skating community. Because during the early internet, before there was any money about this or anything, the only people uploading videos of them doing stuff, it was their hobbies, right? It was their passions. It was people doing stuff that they truly wanted to do. And I think that right there is where Joe Rogan and skateboarding, that's where they cross. Well, it's because before Twitch TV, before YouTube was really what YouTube is now, in 2009, him and his friend just hopped on Ustream and shoot the shit. And little did he know that became what we know Joe Rogan Experience as today. Just from him doing what feels right and what he genuinely wants to do. This right here is the idea that the reason that we like internet videos more than any other content is because it's genuine. It's the reason we enjoy watching these people is because we can connect with them. And if they weren't doing it for a genuine and honest reason, we'd be able to tell because there would be no connection. The people doing the thing, but for no other reason than to do that thing. You could follow every Mr. Beast advice TikTok in the world. Trust me. There's really no other way people are going to truly share and connect with your content. There's no hack. There's no view retention trick. There's nothing like that. The only way they're going to connect with your content is by doing just that. I say this while writing this script at 1 a.m. Of course, I would love some more free time to work on videos. Who wouldn't? But at the same time, I think I'm falling more and more in love with this grind day by day.
You know, Mark, I think you're beginning to grow.
Well, sir, I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be. So I'll catch you on the rebound, your magnitude. Until next week, Nanu, Nanu.